Okay.
Okay, so this is Moriah Howell-Paul. And so Moriah, you're going to give us a brief rundown of the pieces that you studied, and then you can start telling us what you found.
Let me just get the page. All right, so the pieces I would have done is I did 3 pieces from West Side Symphony. That's Smile in 2019, Dead or Alive, that was 2006, and Bacchanal by Destra in 2018. Then Savannah Grass by Roadblock, that's 2020. Madness from Arima Golden Symphony, 2020. Tobago Panthers, Far From Finish, 2018. Sweet for Days, Fusion Steel Orchestra, 2019. Iron Love, Arima Angel Harps, 2019. Hello, New East Dimension, 2019. And Fiery from Woodbook Playboys, right? So based on the pieces I would have been analyzing or observing for the past few weeks, well, most of them would generic structure. However, there was some innovations in most of them, where in terms it wouldn't be exactly how the structure is. So it would have all the, what is the word? All the specific things that the structure has, but in different places, right? So sometimes you wouldn't have the jam directly in the recap. You might have a jam where you might have 2 jams. It would have 2 minor sections where it would be a relative minor, and then there's a next major change key and then a relative minor for that change key. They would have had, I'll just say most of the similarities I noticed as well. Most or all of the pieces had a lot of chromatic runs, a lot of chromatic sequences. I realized that a lot of arrangers like to work around the chromatic scales. Not really sure why, because there are so many scales that you can use, but I guess that's part of the panorama culture. That's just my observation. A lot of hammered strokes, based on what Durrell was saying in terms of the hammered strokes and the band phrases. I had a little bit of issues with trying to figure out which is which, but I think the hammered stroke, what stood out to me is the hammered stroke is not really based on a phrase in the song, because a lot of the band phrases would have been phrases from the initial song, and there are hammered strokes that are just strokes on certain notes. It's not actual phrase, right? The jam sessions, a fanfare or a dramatic ending. Some of the fanfares, it wouldn't be a quote unquote fanfare, it would just be something dramatic, something that sounds triumphant or majestic. There are counter melodies.
That's the definition of a fanfare.
Oh, okay. I thought a fanfare had to be something that is.
No, if it sounds majestic,
that sounds classical.
Triumphant. No. Majestic,
okay.
Triumphant, all of those things are aspects of the fanfare. So it might not be the typical fanfare, but it is a panorama fanfare.
Okay.
And then you get to describe it, right? Because you're the one that's pointing it out.
Right. Okay, thanks for that.
Yeah.
A lot of counter melodies, based off a theme and variation from the song, either the verse or the chorus. Bridges, I think bridges are really important because it not only joins 2 sections together, but it makes it sound smooth. It's kind of difficult in terms of hearing. Just give me a second. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
It helps make the transition from one section to another sound really smooth, instead of having like a partial break or a complete break or a jam. It just bridges it, and I really like that in terms of well, for me at first it was hard to hear where, for instance, the exposition would reach the recap, but then after listening to several, I was able to get an air freight basically. And the last thing I noticed in all of them was a genre change. The genre change, it would either be like a Latin soca. I realized that a lot of bands, when they go into a minor, they like to use a Latin soca kind of style. Also, if it's in a minor, they like to use a chutney style. or a classic, Indian classical style as well. Another genre change I would have noticed was a kind of a zouk. It's like it sounds like soca, but it's zouk, and that was actually really interesting for me. Also, a lot of songs would have had I hope I'm pronouncing this word correct, interpolations. That's where when you use a different song in that helps with the storyline. I really like that. For me, listening to the regular variation and then you just hear the song that you know, and it's like, hey, look, and then you realize, okay, it has to do with the story that they're trying to send a message. Yeah, I think that's about it. Most of the observations I would have done are things that stood out to me.
That's very well done, Moriah. And, you know, Durrell pointed out sampling, and you pointed out interpolation. And I want to say in the community, people use the term sampling.
Okay.
The problem I have with that is that the word sampling is used in a particular way in the recording industry.
Yeah.
So this is, I don't know how to resolve this, because really interpolation is the word, right? When you take another song and you bring it in and you present the song on your instrument in your voice, that's an interpolation. When you take the original, if it's Ariana Grande singing some song, you take that original sound and you splice it in, that is sampling.
Yeah.
Right? So
because one of the things I would have noticed with the interpolation, they would not be in the exact key of the original song for the interpolation. It would have been phrased or
into the
put in
key
a
of the
genre.
piece. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it might not be like a long phrase, it might just be a line that has part of a word that is related to the song.
Yep.
So one more thing.
Sure.
I had a small issue with identifying an ostinato and a vamp when it came to panorama arrangements. And probably later on, you can probably help me out with that.
Sure. A vamp is really easy. They have similar characteristics, right? Because it's a cell that repeats. But I like to think of a vamp as being more harmonic. That ostinato is purely rhythmic, right? So if you have and it just goes on, that really is ostinato. So ostinato, it's, some people think like a band phrase is ostinato, but that's not ostinato. Ostinato is structural. Like you can have a whole section of music based on the same rhythmic layout. So if you think of bolero, right? Bom takatatum 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 takatatum. That goes throughout the piece. That's ostinato, right? Okay, very well done, Moriah. Does anyone have any questions for Moriah or Durrell so far?
No, I was just going to comment that about our sampling thing is I got caught with that when I was abroad. And I was talking about sampling in that way, and they were like, what are you talking about? That's not sampling. So yeah, definitely we have to find a way to change it in the industry.
Yep. Okay, let me stop this recording.